All right, all right, all right. Hello, 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 everyone. It's LaShawn, Renee, and Chetty. So we had to pivot because we were scheduled to be on with the Kings out of Mississippi. And for those of you who were looking for us on their page, they actually had power outage. They have, I guess, some storms coming through, and so we were on with them, and then boom, we were off. So they're going to reschedule, and we're praying for their safety and want to give a shout out to Tabitha Brown, who also was going to be with us this evening, but ministry duties have called her, and she's supporting a friend and will not be able to be with us. But you will be able to hear from the Tabitha Brown. I call her the Tabitha Brown. She keeps us laughing, keeps so much joy with us. So we're just grateful to have her on our team and praying for she and her husband. So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I am streaming. So let me make sure I see that we are live. Yes, we are live. So ladies, you should be able to share this to your page. But we wanted to come up here because I said, as hard as it was for us to be able to go live tonight, somebody really needs to hear what we have to share. And so, if you are tuning in right now, we believe that that person is you or someone who you know who needs to hear what we're about to share. So, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and encourage you, if you are friends, to share this with someone who's going to benefit from the information we give you on tonight. So, as you probably have been seeing our banners, we have joined the Core Cleanse movement, guys. And I don't mean no disrespect when I say guys, you know, girls and guys, but I call people guys all the time. So we're excited. I'm especially excited because about maybe 7 weeks ago, I was given the opportunity to be a part of a beta test of a product that has been under development probably more than 2 years now. That our company, we are a part of a health and wellness company called Partner Co. But they had been working on this product and going through the different tests to perfect things. So had gone through different test phases, and at the very end, before they bring it to market, which they did with us just a week or so ago, they allowed there to be some beta testers. So my husband and I were given the privilege to take part in that. And so the company sent us our products for 4 weeks for each of us to try. And I'm telling you, it was an amazing experience. One reason why it was amazing for me is because I have dealt with constipation for a long time. And I knew that this was something that I could get behind if it really worked for me. It was going to change not my life only, but those who I know were having similar problems. And unfortunately, this is something people don't like to talk about. But we want you to be comfortable about talking about poop. And we have some poop experts up here today. They've been pooping for all their lives. I'm sure Renee has been pooping for all her life. Renee's probably about 20 years young, right, Renee?
There you go.
Yeah, you better shame the devil.
God has given me a long life, and I don't
You,
mind telling it.
how old are you?
I am 62. I ain't ashamed to say it.
So you've been pooping for
there,
62
you, there
years.
you go.
Has it all been good for you?
And no, it's a whole lot to tell.
Okay, well, we want to hear about it. So how long you been pooping, Miss Chetty? You
A
gonna tell
mighty
or you
long time.
a mighty long time. You gonna stick to your story? Well,
67.
67. Y'all, don't these ladies look beautiful?
This is a blessing.
Absolutely beautiful. And I will be celebrating 60 years of life come September. The Lord say the same. And but I have to admit, I have not been having some great experiences when I go to the restroom, right? There is not a lot of rest for some of us who go to the restroom. I don't know why they call it a restroom because There won't no rest for the weary. A lot of times when I went to the to the restroom, and I mean, I'm making light of it, but it is no. I don't mean to make it light because it is heavy when you're a person who suffers when you go to the bathroom. There are people who literally feel like they're going to pass out when they go to the restroom, and I know Renee had a situation similar to that. So I'm just going to let you talk a little bit, Renee, about what was going on with you and why were you excited about the Core Cleanse product when you heard about it?
Well, introduce myself a little bit. You did call me Renee. I'm Renee Summers. I actually am originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. Y'all can hear that little country twang in my voice. Um, Grew up in this area, and you know, had just to kind of introduce myself a little bit. Had a mother that went out. We had to go out and uh, go to the fields and get, pick the beans and all that good food, and she would can food. We would shuck corn, snap beans, all that. That's how I grew up. So, over those years, that was, good eating because that's what people ate. But you know what's happening over with time? We don't eat like that, like we used to. And because of that, and some things, don't get me wrong, we picked up some other habits too when we were during that time. They might have had a lot of, pork or whatever. Not knocking the foods what you eat, but because your body has to release unnecessary stuff out of your body. Bottom line. Well, fast forward into today. Well, a little bit before today time, right now it's 2026. A couple of years ago, I found myself, I've always had issues having a bowel movement for years. But I found myself 2.5 years ago having to go to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, come to find out, they saying you're constipated. That was a lot of pain. So they had to help me actually expose, get rid of that stuff out of my system. However, one thing I can say, look, I got plenty of close friends and everybody that's in the medical field. However, one thing they didn't say was they said what was going on and they said go home and take, certain name brand things that you buy. But nobody never really spoke about the core. I, I, I hadn't heard it said that way. All I know is, you need to go and buy this or buy that and, drink that. And I was like, okay. So I eat right. Don't get me wrong. I really practice what I eat. So one thing that can be a myth sometimes is you're thinking because you should eat right, but that does not clean the core the way you think it should. So I eat right, all those things. Anyhow, fast forward, I had been for the past year. In 2025, I had to go to the hospital. When I went to the hospital, one of the things that was wrong with me was I had 3 bleeding ulcers. But prior to that, when I went back and started looking at everything, prior to that, one of the issues that was happening to me was at times when I would get ready to have a bowel movement, I would be like, oh, dizzy, just super dizzy. And there was times when I would almost just like black out. Seeing I was like, what is going on my body? I'm just thinking, well, that happened prior to 2025. 2025, February, I rushed to the hospital. One of the things I had, they said that was, like I said, 3 bleeding ulcers. I had the coronavirus. I had fluid around my heart. And I had some things going on with my liver. Enzymes was too high. Well, one thing they never said to me was anything directed to my core. Nothing was never addressed for my core at all. I started going back, doing my own research. And I started saying, wait a minute. A year prior to this, or 6 months prior to this, before I ever went to the hospital, I was having issues with this. Well, sure enough, fast forward in September of 2025, I go to the hospital and come to find out the doctor comes. I have a very close friend who's a PA. She says, I think you're having what they call vagal, VAGAL. And I was like, okay. She said, but go into the hospital and check and make sure. Because what was happening was when I get ready to have a bowel movement, I was getting dizzy. Well, one day I actually passed out on my husband. And when I did, that's when she said, go to the hospital, but I think you're having vagal. So I said, okay. Went to the hospital, come to find out, doctor came out and said, yeah, you can go back home. He said, because you're having vagal. But never said anything about my core. Never said anything about my core. So sure enough, we get introduced to this fabulous product called Core Cleanse. And I remember thinking, gosh, I can't wait to get this in my body. We had an event on a Saturday about I guess now, ladies, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. That Friday night, I was having an issue where I was trying to use the bathroom. And I was almost in tears that Friday night. And I told my husband, I said, okay, I'll be all right. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow, a few days later. I said, we're getting ready to get the product soon. And, I didn't know when we got there, we were going to get, the actual product. And, that day, I thought, I had to wait till we ordered all those things. I was like, okay, it's coming around. I want you to know that at that event, one of the things they had was these little sample cups. Y'all know that I call them little shot glasses. They gave us a little thing, a little sample of a shot cup. I drank it, just a little shot cup. But the company also gave out a 7-day free of the core cleanse for the 7 days. So I thought, oh great, I'll get to use this, start this tomorrow. Happy. Well, I want you to know, this was in Raleigh. We was on our way back. We lived in the Kernersville, Winston-Salem area. So we got about like an hour and a half drive. I want you to know, on my way back, all I drank now was a little shot cup. That is, matter of fact, the part that I drank was the part that's supposed to be doing the restore. It wasn't even the release yet. I was in the car and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to have to lay my seat back. He said, why? I said, it's almost like I feel like I got to go to the bathroom. I said, but all I drank was a little shot glass. And he was like, oh, okay. And so he kept on. He said, you all right? I said, yeah. I said, just feels like it. I want you to know I got home and I used the bathroom from a shot cup. I mean, wasn't even the full bottle that we're drinking every day. And I released my bowels.
And Renee, I'm so glad you shared that, because when you said Friday, you were almost in tears because you needed to go and could not go. I have been in that state where I felt it was at the door.
Yep.
But it would not come through.
Yep. That's it.
And it is a miserable feeling.
Ooh.
And you guys know, there are people who suffer. I mean, Chetty, she's a nurse by profession.
Mm-hmm.
So she can tell you, when I was talking to her about people who have chronic constipation and were so impacted, some people have to go to the hospital. She had to administer care to patients. Can you talk a little bit about that, Chetty?
Sure.
And Chetty's coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Good evening, everybody. In my past life, yes, I was a nurse, and we would constantly see, people coming in, patients coming in, not in distress, not feeling well. And when you go to do your assessment on the patient, you will find that they would have a hard stomach. And the questions that we would ask is, when was the last time you had a bowel movement?
Mm.
And you would have some that would say a week, 2 weeks, or I haven't gone in a month. So then that means that the staff, we had to literally, at that time called disimpact them with either an enema or a high colonic solution in order to give them relief. And, it was just, then we had to educate them on not waiting so long and having a bowel movement and the things that they can do to take care of themselves. But I am so glad that we have this product right here, the Core Cleanse. It is amazing. It is amazing. I started mine last week, excuse me, and I actually ended mine on 2 days ago, my day 7. But even from doing my day 1, my first day, I began to feel so much better just because it was replenishing my gut. The brain fog, the brain fog is real. I began to feel lighter. And then when I got to day 7, I had had the best sleep that I've had in a long time, just from this product. And the taste alone is amazing. It's that lemon ginger. I love lemon ginger. Tastes like lemonade. You want to drink more than one in a day, but you can't. But if I could, I would. But yes, yes, this product is amazing.
Well, I'm glad you shared that because I have had some hard conversations with people who have had to go in for medical treatments because they were so impacted. And extensive things were done to
Right,
help them. And I've seen some things that I wouldn't want anybody to have to go through. And I said, Lord, I really don't ever want to get to that point where I have to go through. And it can be because people are on a lot of medications, they have poor diets. Um, you know, some people say it's genetics, but I think we learn to eat from our families and we might not have the best diets. And so that can
right,
contribute to it, right?
right. The unprocessed foods that we have now, and even just if we're not moving like we should be moving, and we have to remember that our gut is our core. It's the center that holds everything else together.
Mm.
And we have to look at our gut as I described to someone the other day, that I was talking to about this product. And, they were explaining some of their concerns, their issues that they were going. And then I said, well, how often are you going? And, they were saying, well, just one time. And I go regular. And then my question to them was, what is your regular? And they said one time. And then my next question to them, I said, do you eat one time a day? That's good if you ate one time a day. But if you're eating 3 and 4 and 5 times a day, that's how often you should be going. And then I said, look at your colon, look at your gut as a pipe that has the connections to it of the different elbows or whatever, however that pipe is put together. And when you install a pipe, it's free flowing. The water is free flowing. But as you start to put things down the pipe, whether it's food, hair, whatever it may be, it may not go all the way through and it sticks to the insides of the walls. That's where the way your gut is. And then there's a little trickle of water going down. And then there's a backup. And how do you take care of that backup in the drain? That's the way our gut is. There has to be, you have to clean it out. You have to have a good detox. There has to be a cleansing. So you figure if you're only going one time a day and you're eating 3 and 4 times a day, you multiply that by 7 days a week. You multiply that by 12 months. That's how much we have in our system. And that's what we would see when I was in nursing, that we would see patients come in because they have not been able to release that. This product will release that. It will restore. And the thing that I like about this is that it restores the good bacteria, restoring and releasing. So these two alone will help your system, not only your gut, get back to where it should be, but also releasing what should not be there. LaShawn, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. What I was going to ask you is, what was your experience using it? Because some people are concerned about cramping. So what did you experience?
I didn't have any cramping. I had a lot of rumble. As James King would say, respect the rumble. So I had a lot of rumble. And during day 1 through 5 was a lot of rumble. Also was, releasing a lot of fluid. But then come day 6 and 7, you knew that it was time to release.
Yeah. I think that's why James says respect the rumble, because when you feel that rumble, you want to be moving.
Right. You want to
And
be close
it's not,
to
say it again.
you want to be close to the bathroom.
Yeah, I call it the throne. Be close
The
to your
throne.
throne. Wherever
Close to
your
your
throne's
throne.
going to be, on day 7, know where your throne is and be able to quickly get to your throne. All the other days, not so much. The majority of the people who I talk to, and even for myself, um, day 1 through 5, and it's broken down into colors. So you take the yellow ones, day 1 through 5, 30 minutes before your largest meal of the day. You're going to take the yellow one. That is the core cleanse. On day 6 and 7 is when you actually take the detox. That's the orange packet. And that you take day 6 at night before you go to bed. So day 6 all day long, you're not taking any core cleanse. You take it that night before you go to bed. So it's going to start to work through all of the stuff that the core cleanse was prepping your gut for day 1 through 5. Now it's getting ready to come in and do that deep cleanse for you, right? So you rest that night, you wake up first thing in the morning, and then you drink the second core cleanse plus, the orange one, the 2 orange packs. That's the day. You don't want to play. You want to respect the rumble and make sure you are near your throne. That's all
And
I can tell you.
and the key
Make sure.
thing, LaShawn, too, is it is a wonderful taste.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's not gritty. It's not that off taste that you
No
experience
aftertaste.
with there's no aftertaste. And even that off taste that sometimes you experience when you do want to really detox. It's
Mm-hmm.
a smooth taste like lemonade. Like I said, it tastes like lemonade with that hint of ginger. And that ginger is what kicks in to help you go.
It's really the perfect blend.
It is. It
It's
is.
really the perfect blend. So for those of you who've been considering giving this a try, what we have been doing, each box comes with 4 weeks worth, right? So that's a month's supply. And so what we do is give people the opportunity to try 1 week, 2 weeks, which we highly recommend, because that first week is just really breaking you in, breaking things down, and you're going to get an introduction to what this can do. That second week, you'll get even a more thorough flush, because I know that my second week, I could tell the biggest difference than the first week. The other thing about the seventh day, it's not all day long. I haven't heard anybody say they had to stay by their throne all day long. Pretty much, I've eliminated about 4 to 5 times on my day 7. That's about as much as I think I've counted in all these 8 weeks, 7 weeks that I've been doing this. So I know that about 3 or 4 in the evening on that day 7, I can go about my business. Now I'm mindful if I eat something wrong, because your system is like being cleansed. You go and put some junk in on top of what it's already cleaned out. You're gonna be like, and then you feel something go, and then you're like, oh wait, I got to go, right? So you may have that later in your day, but when it is really flushing you early in your day, you want to make sure you have that access to the throne. Renee, what's your experience been with it?
So far, I'm just on my second time for a week because, like I said, I got my products that day, started that Sunday right after. And like you said, be honest, the 5 day restore, it was just normal. You know, just going to the bathroom is normal. That seventh, because you know what I'm saying, you do what is it, a satchel that night and then one first thing that morning. And that day was that day. Okay? That was the day. But however, I noticed that night when I laid down after that real day, that seventh day, is where your body felt like, oh, this is feeling good.
I got a
Because your
question for
body is cleansed.
I got a question that just came to mind for you, because I know, and for people who don't know, Renee has a what is it?
Muscle.
Yeah, it's a muscle disease called polymyositis.
Mhm.
I learned the name polymyositis when I met Renee. I had never heard what that was. But Renee has been on a lot of medications, and she still, I think, takes quite a few medications for different things. So, what advice would you give someone who is taking a lot of medications and they want to do a detox? Can they do a detox, or what do you
Yes,
recommend?
ma'am. I would highly, highly recommend. Everything leaves a residue. Okay,
Mm,
things will go in your body and come out your body.
mhm,
What comes out is what is not necessary anymore to be there.
mhm,
However, if you are leaving that in there and then you're doing it again the next day, then you're leaving in so much all this residue. The
mm,
whole reason God designed our bodies to do it, to eliminate, is because it's supposed to flush what's not necessary out. The others already gone and do what it has to do. Speaking of that, let me tell you this. Talking about medications. I look, I tell everybody, go to your doctor, talk to your doctor. However, one of the things was, remember, when I was in the hospital, one of the things they started me on the medication. I have there a GI doctor, gastrointestinal, whatever it's called. Can't even pronounce it. Anyway, the GI. Okay, y'all got me. She didn't have to tell you what it's called. But that doctor had me on this particular medication. I went back. That happened in February. I went back in the summer, probably about June or July. I had to get a checkup. When I did, I asked him. I said, "Can you lower this medication you got me on?" And he said, "Well, yeah, we can sit." I said, "First of all, tell me this. What is it actually for?" He said, "Acid reflux."
mhm.
I went back and did my research. So he lowered what I was taking for acid reflux. But listen to this. Remember, I told you prior to that, a year or so ago, I was having those issues. Probably, I'm quite sure what happened. I was having vagal before I ever went to the hospital.
Mm,
And because I did my research. When I research about vagal, it talks about the bowels and the GI tract. And when it discusses that, one of the things it said it can cause was, guess what? Acid reflux. The dizziness I have causes, I would get dizzy. It also causes my blood pressure to drop because I'm not flushing out. Because that's why I had that little fainting spell. Because when the blood pressure drops too low, your heart rate and all that stuff changes. And I was having little fainting spells. And remember, he lowered it. However, I guarantee you now that I have started this core cleanse. I have not had one episode of dizziness.
Wow.
Not a one. I am using the bathroom like I normally supposed to, and I have not. My blood pressure, my son's fiance bought me a cuff so I can take my blood pressure. My blood pressure has remained normal within I think like 118. Anyway, whatever the numbers are, I always send it back to them. I say, does that look good? They say, look excellent. I say, okay, cool. So anyhow, my blood pressure's been excellent, and I have not had one dizzy spell since I started on the core cleanse.
Wow.
So as far as medication, I tell everybody, anything you put in, the reason why you have a bowel movement is because it's got to take out what's not necessary. And if you're not, you're piling stuff on top.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I know somebody listening to this today was wondering about if they were taking lots of medications, should they take something like this, a detox? I'm glad that you shared this. Of course, we always want to advise you to consult with your doctor. But I will say this, it is your responsibility to make sure you do your research. I think that when Renee started hearing the correlation between what she was diagnosed with, the vagal, and was asking questions about the medication that she was prescribed, sometimes people just take things because they're given things to take, and she didn't know why she was taking that one particular thing. Why was she even prescribed that? And when she found out and did her research about what acid reflux or whatever he was talking about was contributed, to, she put some pieces of the puzzle together. And it's that gut health. So much of the conditions that we go through in our bodies is directly related to the health of our guts. And when Chetty started talking about that pipe, and that drainage system in our bodies, I mean, it's not enough for you to use the bathroom on a regular basis to do what we're talking about, and that's detoxing. So you may eliminate your waste, right? But there is a buildup, just like in the pipes that, Chetty was talking about. Over time, things get, plastered against the walls. Those toxins from those things can seep into other things, and they cause us problems in our body. So why is it important that we clean out the drains within us? I guess that's the way you could put it. Because we don't want it to have anything to stick to. We want everything to come on down and come on out like it's supposed to. And that's going to help you. I can't tell you how many people are talking about their levels of energy, sleeping better and sleeping deeper. And I'm going to be honest, married couples, I think we got our hands on something very special right here. And I'm going to let that sit right there, because I was talking to my husband and we were having a nice conversation, and we are very much enjoying the core cleanse as a married couple. Enough said about that. When your gut is working, a whole lot of other things work well too. So I will leave that at that. So if you are someone who's been watching this and you have been seeing the banners, seeing the flyers, people promoting, the Core Cleanse product and talking about what it's doing for them. I encourage you to get back to the person who's sharing this on their page with you, or to get back with the person who's been inboxing you. They're trying to help you. You need to do this for your body at least 1 week, and you will see. You will see for yourself. And every experience will be different. But I will say a whole lot of the experiences I'm hearing are saying the same things. And I have been in this industry of health and wellness for over 20 years now, and have been introduced to many products and have shared products with people and helped them get results. But I have never been a part of a company with a product like this where so many people are saying the same thing. And it does taste great. And it does help you sleep well. And it does help you have a pleasant experience in the restroom. I'm starting to enjoy the restroom. I'm starting to enjoy it. And I want you to have that same experience. Shetty wants you to have that same experience. Renee does too. And the person who invited you to watch this does too. You're doing yourself a disservice. You do not have to suffer. I understand what comes along with the strain. Okay. I understand the uncomfortable situations that we find ourselves after we have not been able to eliminate like we need. It is no fun. It is not healthy. And we want to promote healthy guts because people who poop are happy. People who
And
poop
healthy.
and people who poop are happy and healthy. And that's what you need to remember. And we want you to be happy with us. We gonna be happy pooping. We want you to be happy pooping too. Okay. So get back with the person who shared this with you. Thank you for your time. For those of you who are looking for us at 7:30, again, on behalf of the Kings, they were going to be hosting us on their platform tonight. And they had a bad storm or something to come through in Mississippi. They lost power. So I know that they're going to be coming back on their platform and sharing more testimonials like this, because there are so many people who are just getting some tremendous breakthroughs. Tonight is Friday, so I'm placing an order because, believe it or not, I'm down to 2 packs, right? So I got to get more product in my house. And I encourage you, if you wanted to order yours, you want to be the first one to get this next batch, and you're ordering from me, please message me and say, okay, go on and put my order in. I'm ready. Do the same for Chetty and Renee, and we will take care of you. And for whoever's sharing this on this page, get back with them, because I know that everybody's trying to get their orders in, because it's going like that. Do you know, in the first week that this was introduced for sale, over 40,000 units were sold just like that within 3 days, just like that. So the company's like, don't fret. Greg and Lanika told us it was going to be this way. We got some more. And so now they're ordering right. Yeah, Stacey says she's ordering hers tomorrow. So she's already sold out. Isn't that wonderful? And that just tells you, because we're selling out because there's so many people who are having this challenge. And so if you know somebody who's struggling, not having a good experience in the restroom, let us help them. If it's not you, let us help them. Refer them to us. Share this with them, okay? Any last words from you, Chetty, tonight?
No, I just encourage everyone to try this product. You will have amazing results. It's all about gut health. Your gut will thank you. Your body will thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Renee?
Yes, just like I know you do cleaning in your own house. When you go through your house, you want to make sure it's really clean. You clean everything. You don't stop and say, well, I'm going to shampoo the carpets, but I'm not going to wipe off the tables or whatever. You clean the whole house. Well, you need to clean the whole inside of your body. And the only way to get the stuff out is the core.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I put that disclaimer down here to make sure you guys know we're not trying to diagnose or treat or cure or prevent any disease. Okay. We can't do that. But what we can do is share with you what is working for us. And people go out and they try all the kind of laxes. I have a customer who they have tried every kind of lax there is, all the laxes that go along with the names that you might be familiar with. And so this is just another option for you to try, and see what it does for you. And we feel really good to say we know you're going to get a good result with this. So thank you for listening. We will be talking more. Keep following us about this. And we're just looking forward for you to join the movement. And I really mean the movement, like even if you don't join a business, because this is a great business opportunity as well, but at least you can join us in saying that we are moving together in the restroom and we are happy and healthy. All right. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you. And we'll talk to you soon.